Hey guys, going to do an updated build guide to my last one. This is pretty much going to be for anyone that wants to play Musket Rapier, in wars, OPR, arenas, anything like that. So we'll just get straight into it. For wars, I like to run full refreshing. So I've got elemental version, refreshing, resilient. I run bow, musket in wars, so I like to run lasting rain of arrows just for that longer bleed damage, as well as a slow. My handpiece, I run refreshing, resilient, crippling, powder burn. I still think shirking energy is really good for the pants, even though it does get nerfed next patch. I think it's still going to be BIS for light armor players. And for my light footwear, that's where I run my empowered shooter stance. So full refreshing on the armor with one aversion. Ideally I would like to get another, but it's just kind of hard to fit it in anywhere with the perks that I'm running. For my amulet I run refreshing as well. And then for my ring I run mortal empowerment, which is a no-brainer. And I just like hardy, even though we do get the extra roll. I think just more stamina the better. Because when they do get into fort phase, you are sometimes running around trying to survive for your life. And then for my earring, I run refreshing as well. You could probably throw in regenerating there if you wanted. If you didn't want to run another refreshing, if you like regenerating, or maybe even a healthy toast. But for me personally, I like refreshing and I like purifying toast. A lot of people will say healthy toast is better, and they might be right. But just from my feedback from all my wars, I like to run purifying toast and refreshing. The only reason I don't run healthy toast is because when it's wartime, you generally have something like this, and you'll have your cleanse pots here. So I just don't have room for mana pots, and I do like to run gemstone dust. So that's the main reason I don't run healthy toast. For wars, I run this stat attribution as well. Especially hard wars, you want at least 50 con with 50% thrust damage resistance. So full emeralds. Because the damage you're going to take is 99% of the time from muskets and bows. And the musket I run is Abyssal Tunic, Keenly Jagged, Enchanted. So that's BIS right now. I wouldn't suggest trying to craft this thing right now or buy it. What I would do is wait for the new patch. So once Golden Scarabs release, it'll make a ton easier to get this musket. So keep your eye out next patch for when one drops, or if you can get Golden Scarabs to craft your own. For my Rapier I run this. I really like having Sundering Riposte on the Rapier, especially for OPRs, arenas. It just helps a ton against like heavy armor bruisers or medium armor bruisers, just weakens them up that much more. And Keenly Jagged is just great in duels because it goes through riposte. It's another good thing to note, just puts another debuff on your enemy. But for wars, what I run is I run Keen, Vicious, Frost, Attunement. That's not BIS though. BIS would be Vicious, an Attunement, and maybe like Keenly Empowered or Keenly Jagged. I'm still trying to get my hands on one of them, but we'll get one eventually. Now I've been getting a lot of questions about why I run nature damage in my musket. It's because nature, any sort of gem you put in your musket doesn't scale off the attunement. So if I was to run an amethyst for void damage, it's going to do the exact same damage overall. Now that would be different if I was running a damage ring. If I was running void damage, then I would definitely want to run an amethyst in my musket. But I'm running keen awareness because I don't have keen on my musket. But if someone was running a similar build but had keen instead of say Keenly Jagged, then they would probably want to run a damage type on them on their ring. So just keep that in mind. So that is my war setup right there. 1, 2, 7 refreshing. I'm pretty happy with that because in wars most of your kills will come from empowered shooter stance, so the quicker you can bring that on cooldown the better. And for OPRs I try and run a more version, so I'll just throw all that on now. So for OPRs I run Elemental Version, Critical Retribution and Resilient. I run this for my medium chest piece. I would like to have elemental version on that, I think, or maybe physical version. So physical version, resilient vigor. Same thing here with shirking energy, but an inversion instead of refreshing. And I run the same boots. Now, ideally, I would like to. I'm still trying to get some pieces where. So this, for example, would have elemental version. This is this, in my opinion. That's fine. I would have another version there. So I'd go one elemental version, two, say a third elemental version, and then two physical aversions on these two pieces here. So that would be 5 aversions, but I've only got 3 at the moment. But we're still working on that, and that gives me something to do in the meantime. So we're not fully bissed out yet on our OPR or sort of arenas slash dueling loadout, but at least my main war setup, in my opinion, is bissed out. And for my, so I still run the same ring, obviously, but I've opted for regenerating instead of refreshing. I think regenerating is really good. It sometimes just gives you enough health to survive maybe that last bow shot or that last musket shot, or so that's what I like to run. And then for my amulet, I run shirking dot cleanse, and I was shown this by one of the other muskets on the server. And I just think, yeah, it just really, I didn't realize at the time it actually works with, like, say a musket shooting at you or a bow and you dodge at the right time, they'll lose a debuff. And that, in my opinion, is huge. I used to run Purify, but I've been since proven wrong, and this is way better. So if you can pick one up cheap off the marketplace, do so, because that goes a long way. But if you can't, and you want to sort of, you need a bit of a cheaper route, then health and thrust protect at the very minimum, with a thrust ward gem in. So full thrust ward gems to get that 50% thrust resist, because most of the damage you receive is going to be from bows and muskets. I think that pretty much goes over everything. I don't think I've had any changes to my musket layout since the last video, so you might have something different here. Maybe some people go for marksman and lose a point somewhere else. Maybe this one here. And that's my bow loadout. I'm still trying to figure out a way how I can get hooked arrows in, but it's a little hard because I do want this concussion ultimate on the bow hunter tree. I don't do a lot of auto attacks in wars, so I don't really opt for that either. And I like the damage from direct hit, so I grab that. But I could definitely swap that out for maybe something like this. Just haven't gotten around to testing that yet. And then the attribute split is as shown. Any extra points you have throw into int, but you definitely want to hit that third sort of threshold for 15% elemental damage. If you notice you have an easier war, you can definitely bring your combat to 5 and run 210 int, but you know, you got to be very careful doing that because you're obviously 2-shot pretty much. So that's it, really. That's all the changes that you need to make, and this is probably the ultimate guide to musket. I haven't really seen any better ones out there, so hopefully you all get something from this, and if so, let me know in the comments. And I'm streaming on Twitch at twitchtv TorvenAU. If you want to come by, say hi, watch some gameplay, ask some questions, feel free, it's no issue. Alright guys, see you in the next one.